Welcome back to the Rebel Chumps channel. Today we're gonna have a talk. We're gonna talk about the truth of Vader's Vault. This is gonna be a little bit of a lengthy talk maybe, but I really want to get it off my chest and tell you the truth about the company Vader's Vault and the owners of Vader's Vault. So hopefully you have a cup of coffee or tea ready, because this is gonna take a little while, but I really want to get through the nitty-gritty of it, because I think you might be very interested in knowing the truth about Vader's Vault. So I have a Vader's Vault Mitsurugi in front of me, and I'm gonna use that as an example during this little talk to you. I have known Vader's Vault since 2015, so around when I opened this YouTube channel. That's where you see my actual very first introduction to lightsabers, which were the flip out lightsabers, and not long after my first Ultra Saber. Fairly early within that introduction of myself into the lightsaber community, I noticed that there were Facebook groups regarding lightsabers, and very fast there were a lot of noise about certain companies and a lot of talk about some certain companies as well, a lot of praises, and one of them was for Vader's Vault, over and over, Vader's Vault this, Vader's Vault that. So I was like really curious to find out more about them, and so I looked out on the website, and the first thing I was like, wow, this is, I don't know, it looks a little bit strange. The website didn't look, it still looks almost the same as it looks now, but it just felt like it's an awkward, a little bit awkward website, hard to find my information. I don't know what Sun Crusher, I don't know what's this. I was like, oh my god, I don't know. I'm not really certain about it. It looks like a very small company as well. I don't know. And then I was like, I saw this kibble back and forth about the owners of saber forts and Vader's Vault, because you know the custom lightsaber industry love to gossip, right? I mean, that's part of the hobby, I guess. I know it's bad, but that's how it goes. So I saw these conversations about Vader's Vault having a clinch with saber forts. That is how I got introduced to them. The same way with saber forts. It was like I got to know saber forts because of the many stuff that happened, and it's like, wow, loaded history for those companies. So anyway, I checked out the website, and it took me a while to realize what it was looking at, and was it something for me or not. And I started to get in contact with Deanna and Alan, who are the owners of Vader's Vault. I believe Deanna is the owner, and Alan, the husband, is working for the company, but I believe Deanna is the actual owner, if I'm not mistaken. But as soon as I start talking with them, I realized why Vader's Vault gets so many praises, because they actually take the time to explain noobs like me what is what, how it works, and how it doesn't work, and how whatever I said is wrong, because it's this and this reason, it's not correct whatever they say in the community or whatnot, that is not how it works, this is how it works. So I was like, wow, that's actually really nice. That is unlike saber forts and saber forts and Ultra Sabers, where there isn't like that communication. You get like an email reply a week later or so from some random Inda or some Miranda from saber forts, and India from saber forts, and some guy called Emery from Ultra Sabers. So it's like, yeah, it was all automated, and it didn't feel like genuine. So I'm like, yeah, I burned my fingers to Ultra Sabers in the beginning, and it didn't live up to my experience or my expectations. Ultra Sabers was very off, fast crossed off the list in terms of the expectations I have for quality lightsabers. Ultra Sabers has its place, don't get me wrong, but it is just not for me in terms of the quality I'm looking for. Then I tried saber forts. There was so much hate on that, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I need to try it myself. You need to eat the cheese before you know it's good or bad. And if people say it's just bad and you just take for granted what it is, then you're a bit like sheeple, right? You just follow whatever other people say, and I'm not like that. I want to experience for myself. So saber forts, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's getting there, it's not bad. well, I really want to try out that Vaders Vault because so many people talk about it. So I don't know how many months in, I ordered my very first Vaders Vault Acolyte. And it was also a big step for me because it went from this kind of money that I spent on lightsabers to this kind of money I spent on lightsabers, and was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Is that something that's gonna justify it? Is it really gonna be what people say? And it ended up to be way more than I expected, and it was an epiphany for me. Like, wow, this is an eye-opening. For this kind of money, I can this kind of quality and this kind of finish and this kind of communication and welcoming feeling and feel like part of a community. I was really amazed by that, and I'm now this saber that I just showed earlier. This is my 9th or 10th Vader's Vault saber by now. I think it's a number 9. So that gives a little bit of an impression how much I dig Vader's Vault by now. I'm really into Vader's Vault. Their sabers are just amazing, and there's a few good reasons why that is, in my personal opinion and experience by now. But the most important one is the fact that the owners of Vader's Vault are so caring about their shop. It's like a boutique. It's like I don't know how you call it in English, but we call it like if you make things with your hands, like you're really keen on making things with your hand and making art and craftsmanship. That is how Vader's Vault feels like, and that's how they are actually. They're very protective about their brand, and very protective about what they sell as products, and they're very caring about that. So I immediately felt like this is right. This is how I depicted the lightsaber community, how it was, because I always thought lightsabers were made by these smaller companies, that people do it by themselves. That's what I thought about Ultra Sabers and Saber Forts. I thought there was like this few guys making them and selling them. I didn't realize it was mass produced China made stuff. Not that it's really bad, but I just had a different mindset about what it would be to buy into this hobby. And Vader's Vault actually delivered that and well beyond that. But the point is that Deanna and Ellen are so helpful and so nice time over time. Even if I'm not buying anything, they're always helpful. I can ask them any questions, and they always answer. And I know they're super busy. I know they have people asking them stuff non-stop, day and night. They're working day and night. Their work never ends. They always work, even if they're on holidays. I'm sorry for that. But even when they're on holidays with the kids, they're still working. Not always on purpose, but they really that invested in the lightsaber community and their company and bringing the best quality. So a very few reasons why I like Vaders Vault so much is, for example, this is a good example. This saber is a complete experience, as I like to call it. A complete experience in having a bright lightsaber with a bright LED. You have your flash on class. You have a nice high-end mid-range board. It's a mid-range board, but it's really on the high end. And a lot of times, I would say for 80% of the times, this board inside here, this is the Nano Biscotti. This is the Crystal Shard version 4.0 by Plector Labs, and in most cases, this board already fits all the needs and desires of a high-end lightsaber. Of course, the Crystal Focus 9 or the Igniter R3 from NAC are really high-end boards. They're a step higher than this board, but this board already has so many features and functionalities that it's hard to argue at times why would you get anything better. And that's maybe a little bit in the wrong of Plector Labs having such a nice board for Vader's Vault. But I really feel like this is really giving me everything I want. So Vader's Vault has a really neat option, and their philosophy of their company and the products is very clear and very strongly represented by them. So you can see how thin and how elegant this lightsaber is, because they're all about making the lightsabers as close to real life sword hilts. So it's very thin compared to most saber companies. It's very ego, a very high-end, well-made. So you have high-end made quality products, and it's made in the US, and in combination with the Crystal Shard 4.0, you have an amazing experience. That soundboard is really good. I would argue it's a bit better than the comparable, for example, the Plector Labs Prism 5.1. You can compare it with that. So if you're familiar with, for example, Nana Biscotti version 3 or 4, at least double the experience. Don't get me wrong, the Nana Biscotti is a nice board, but it's very simplistic. This is definitely way above that. It's really nice. I really dig that. The sabers are super loud. The battery life is long. Well made. Good communication from the employees at Vaders Vault. Relatively fast communication as well. Sometimes longer wait times, because they're in demand, especially when The Force Awakens came out. I bought my Acolyte, and I think I waited around 8 months. Now, since then, huge steps has been made at Vaders Vault. They have been growing a lot with their company, because since around, I think I would argue around The Force Awakens, that company has exploded in popularity and people buying lightsabers from them. And that allowed them to grow, get more staff, bigger facility, etc. ever since. So the lead times now are just, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, around 14 weeks, 14 to 18 weeks, which is a significant deep dive from the 8-9 months that I waited for my original first Vaders Vault lightsaber, the Acolyte. I believe this. I believe on average this saber took around 2 to 3 months to have it constructed and sent out to me, and it's really fast. So again, it's just amazing that they can bring that high-end quality in to my doorstep. Because one thing that's so cool about Vaders Vault is that, and I'm really anal about that, I love my lightsabers to be rattle-free, completely rattle-free, solid as a rock, solid. If a saber is not solid, I hate it. Super solid. They have a Delrin chassis. You have seen the full reviews on all my Vaders Vault lightsabers. They have a Delrin chassis. Very clean install. Very loud speaker. Very neat little set that you get. You get a blade included. You get a charger included. And it's just a perfect set. You have a nice AV switch. Can be lit, non-lit. Auxiliary button on the bottom. Because I noticed, when I did a step back from Vaders Vault and explored other brands, and for example, say lightsabers with, for example, a Nana Biscotti version 4, when I realized that this is so amazing, having 2 buttons for the auxiliary switch, and the Crystal Shard is just an amazing board. The Nana Biscotti version 4 was really a step back, and it was a little bit like apply cold water to face, because it was like, whoa, that's a super light board. It's like there's not much to it. So I'm just super happy with this setup. I think Vaders Vault really have a really nice setup there with that exclusive Crystal Shard soundboards that Plector Lab makes for them. The hill designs are also really unique. Very different than most saber companies out there. Not always everybody's cup of tea, I can understand. Like, I have certain hilt designs from Vaders Vault, and I'm just going to be honest, where I say, that's not really my design. I don't really like that design you made there. But then again, there's always a market for different people with different tastes. But in majority, I love most of the Vaders Vault hill designs. And I mean, how many times did I tell that I love my Vaders Vault hero? I mean, that thing is beyond crazy beautiful. I love that thing to that. That's amazing high-end saber. There was no collaboration with Evolution Arms, but it was fully made and commissioned by Vaders Vault for them, and it's just, oh, it's a stunning saber. I love it. The same for the Vaders Vault Mitsurugi 3K. It's just beautiful. I praise so many times the Raven, the other lightsabers. I have reviewed already 9 by now, so there's still bunch of them on the wish list for me. it's basically coming down on having the fund and yeah, basically having the fund to purchase more. But I just love them. It's just amazing. I just love picking them up, turning them on, having multiple sound fonts on there, using the RGB functionality, changing the main color, changing it to flash and class. Even though maybe my hilt like this one, it doesn't have full RGB, but I still have a mixed color, so I can do some sort of an poor man's RGB, and it's still good. I love that value that I get out of that lightsaber. Plus, it's simple to use. It always works. It's loud. It can be muted. There's so many features that you can adjust on the crystal shard as well. So there's like a nice playground as well in the configuration files if you want to, and you can also just easy modes, just configure the lightsaber from the control boxes on the actual lightsaber itself. So you have options. And it's always welcoming also just to talk to the owners of Vaders Vault. Like, they're really, really loving their products, and they ready to defend it as well. Plus, they have an amazing group on Facebook, the Vault. I think they're very similar in setup as the Lightsabers Club, which I also want to point out here. If you're interested in joining the Lightsabers Club on Facebook, just send us an invitation. It's a really nice group. And the same for the Vaults by Vaders Vault. It's a really nice, open, inviting group. They're mainly unbiased. It's not, I mean, they're unbiased, and as in Vaders Vault, the staffing, moderating the group is unbiased, but it's a nice group. And yeah, I mean, it's always a nice it's always nice to talking to them about the new technologies and implementations that they're doing. They're also having now NeoPixel solutions, and Vaders Vault is definitely to stay. It's definitely on the higher end. So yes, you do have to pay a little bit more, but you can argue that what you pay for is actually what you get. There's a, I would say actually, there's a little margin for Vaders Vault actually in terms of profit, because if I calculate the cost of these individual parts, the labor, just look at this hilt. Look how many details there are. This is amazing. Powder coating everywhere, small pieces, milling everywhere, so many different details. This hilt is not cheap to make, including that soundboard is in there that has to be installed by somebody knowledgeable and with quality of actually doing that, and it's all in there. It's all in there for a very affordable price. So again, I think that's amazing. But yeah, if you just look at the starter price and then compare it to like an Ultra Saber's stun saber, yeah, of course, there's a very unfair comparison. You have to be realistic there. But you're gonna get what you pay for. You're gonna get quality. And if you offset it to a saber force or all the sabers, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's a little bit of a laughing stock then. Not saying to be an elitist, but what you get for compared to paying the same amount of money, what you get from Vaders Vault versus what you get from Alta Sabers or Saber Forts, yeah, I'm sorry, but Vaders Vault is winning, hands down. And I fought that battle in the past a little bit, and it's all pure basically coming down on my personal experience, what I felt and what I feel when I have a Vaders Vault product in my hand and directly hold an Alta Sabers or Saber Forts product in my hand. The difference is noticeable, and I pay around the same money, but the difference is vast. There's a huge difference in between them. Again, it comes down to personal preferences as well, but Vaders Vault has perfectly fine business practices, etc. Beautiful products, and just wonderful experiences. Like, it's a true wonderful experience out of the box. It's like you're getting a brand new iPad, and it's just lovely. It's fantastic. It's great. It's functional. It's beautiful. It works good, and yeah, I really praise them for that. So, if you're on the fence about getting a Vaders Vault, don't, because you really will be in good hands, I promise you. And everybody in every Saber community will tell you the same. Vaders Vault is the right choice. You cannot go wrong with Vaders Vault. So let me know in the comments what you think about it. Hopefully this video was useful to you, and hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye bye.